because of that, it actually did require resharpening a little bit, or at least touching up the blade, which was kind of disappointing. And I'll explain a little why that was disappointing now, and that's because of my other knife, which was the Cold Steel Recon Scout. Yes, yes, I know. Nothing fancy, fanboy. Let me just first, before I actually get into the review of this knife, lament the fact that the price of this knife and its big brother, the Trailmaster, has just absolutely gone through the roof, both in Cold Steel's catalog as well as if you can find it at a real retailer. Because what's happened, I believe, and you guys probably do your own research on this, but I believe they're changing the steel on it. The Trailmaster actually isn't even going to have a blackened blade anymore. It's going to be polished. It's still going to be high carbon, but it's going to be, I think it's called Mar finished. I don't recall from the magazine. I just got the Special Projects magazine in, and actually I think I have the little flyer that came with it here. And anyway, it talks about the new Trailmaster and the new Recon Scout, and I think it shows in the catalog that the Recon Scout's going to retail for $150, which means you're going to get it for around $75, probably. Just guessing, total guesses here. And the Trailmaster shows $185, and if you actually go to the website now, it's even more than that. I think the Trailmaster shows, not the Sanmai edition, the actual SK5 high carbon steel is over $200 in their magazine. Real disappointment. I know that steel prices have gone up, but they have not gone up that much. So if you don't already have one of these, there's probably actually better options. I think that the the RTAC 2 is actually now cheaper than the Trailmaster. So, and you can't even find the Trailmaster right now from major retailers. So good luck. I hope you already have one of these. If not, you're going to need to start looking at other options. But anyway, to make it worse, this thing was an absolute beast. And one thing I want to note, I've said before, and I've actually left comments on some videos, that not everything Cold Steel sends out is razor sharp, and this was my example. This guy did not come that sharp. I touched up the edge, but I didn't do an actual resharpen. I just didn't have time, and like I said, I'm not trusting my local sharpeners right now, so I didn't have the means to sharpen it myself, and because of the size of the blade, my sharpener only handles, my current sharpener only handled smaller blades, and I actually purchased my new sharpening system with the purpose of being able to sharpen blades like this. But as you can see, this blade went out brand new, and you can see it has some wear on it now. Battle wounds. If I can get that light hitting it. It has seen its way through several logs, and the type of wood that we dealt with, like I said, was pretty abusive. It tended to not only be hard to split, but then come back over the top of the blade because it was fairly soft because it was starting to rot, and made it really hard to get a good purchase inside the wood. But given the situation, it handled itself marvelously. The only thing that I really had trouble with, not related to the knife really, was finding a good baton. Everything was rotten enough where if you hit it on this false swedge up here on the top, which is actually kind of sharp on mine, and it must have come that way because I certainly didn't sharpen it, but it would splinter. So I actually thought to myself at one point that I wish I would have found myself a little bit nicer, newer piece of wood to take with me, but didn't do that. But anyway, this knife performed marvelously the entire time. It's, like I said, it wasn't as sharp as I wanted it to be, but it is not any less sharp. It hasn't lost any of the sharpness that it came with, and I'm really pleased with that. If you do find an opportunity to get this knife at, I'd say, under 80 bucks, all told, with shipping, handling, and everything, I definitely say to jump on it. I probably could have left this thing alone and called it a collector's item, but I didn't buy it for that. I bought this to be my knife. When I go backpacking, this thing's going to be on my side, or at least maybe lashed to my backpack, because this thing can do it all. I use this to chop, I use this to split wood, I use this to do a little bit of food prep once I cleaned it a little bit. But and it's got such good balance, just a tad forward weighting to make chopping easy, but still when you rest it in your hand, especially if you bring your finger a little forward here, just perfect balance. Just feels great in the hand. I have absolutely no understanding or abilities in knife fighting, but I imagine this thing would be a beast if you were to have to deploy it that way. But just a great knife. And I'm really sad to see the price go as high as it is. Although it will give me an opportunity to try out some Onterios and some Rats and some things that still fall in the somewhat $100 range for a good knife. If I'm going to pay over $100 for a knife, it just has to be perfect, and it has to fulfill a purpose for me that's going to be used regularly. And I just can't see spending what's probably going to be in the realm of $150 for the new Trailmaster. And I was dying for that Trailmaster. When I bought this knife, I was deciding between this and the Trailmaster, and I had every intention of buying this knife and then a few months later getting that Trailmaster. And unfortunately I didn't do it, and I'm sorry about that. Although if I had to pick one, I think this is the one I'd rather have, just because if I'm backpacking, this one's lighter, but it does a lot of the same stuff. I give up a couple inches on length, and that forces me to take edges off of logs instead of going straight down the middle. But at the same time, I think it's still an excellent knife. And also the big deal for me between the two, and the reason I went with this one, is the sheath. I do not really like that Trailmaster. In fact, when I was looking at the two knives, I was looking everywhere to see if I could find this Securex sheath or something like it for the Trailmaster, and just didn't find anybody making Kydex things that were A, reasonably priced, and B, looked okay and looked like they do a pretty good job. If they're out there, great. I don't need to know about them now, because I don't think I'll be getting a Trailmaster unless something comes my way at a really good price. But that's basically my overview on camping. I think everything performed as well or better than I hoped. There were some positive surprises, but not really any negatives, other than the Gerber kind of losing its edge with very little work. But I think you expect that when you pay $25 for a knife. You don't expect excellent edge retention. But that's those items. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them for you. And just leave me a comment or shoot me a PM. This is Shecky signing off.